What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interviews YouTube channel for an interview for one of my favorite shows on air right now. Joe Wiseman, the showrunners of Ghosts Season 3. I can't believe we've hit Season 3. I'm so excited. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So my first question's a bit of a broader one before we dig into the Season 3 premiere full force and specifically focusing on the topic I think everyone's going to want to know about. But first thing, I love hearing about how shows can evolve along the way from script to screen in the edit, but then again beyond when you put it in the hands of the audience. So I was wondering, is there anything like a fan reaction that surprised you from Season 2 that maybe even made you realize something in Season 2 was more powerful than you ever thought it could be?
Yeah. Well, I was surprised at the end of Season 2, the number of people who started to wonder if Jay had acquired powers to see ghosts when they fell through the floor. We did think that would be a subtle thing that people might pick up on, which is why we then addressed it in the top of Season 3 that he had not acquired those powers. But I was very impressed, and it made me realize how people really scrutinize every little moment in a good way.
I might have theorized about that a little bit myself. Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, it's like I go on the forums and lurk and whatnot. You just want to see how people are reacting. And one of the things I love is, the question, who's your favorite ghost, gets asked all the time. And I always go in and read, and I'm always amazed that every ghost is, it's like, it seems like everyone has some ghost that they can sort of like identify with, or just sort of like gel to. And I think that's great. I think that's a wonderful thing about our show. It's like has a little bit of something for everyone. And we have such a large cast and have so many different directions to go to. And people seem to be responding to everyone, which I think is wonderful.
So
yeah,
true.
and that is a cool thing, that it's sort of a two-way conversation. A lot of times that's how we come up with story ideas, is we'll want to answer a question that keeps coming up. Like the first season, everybody was asking what happened in Trevor's pants. So that was an episode we did to address that. And, it was really one of our favorite episodes.
A little bit of a random question here, but that was just making me wonder, like, what is the most out of left field way you've come up with a new plot point or an answer to one of those types of questions?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
Well, we have, there was a thing that was bothering me that didn't bother that many people on Reddit or anything like that. But I did see like 2 people comment, and so it scratched an itch. And now we have an episode this season that explains why the ghosts weren't aware of the secret vault that Elias, Hetty's husband, had built while she was out of town, because it did occur to us that they would have witnessed that.
Reddit is a great place for discussion and new ideas. I love it. I wanted to ask you both about the new episode count, because you were absolutely crushing it with the longer seasons. I think Season 1 was 18 episodes. Season 2 was 22. This time around, it is a 10-episode season. So what were some of the challenges you encountered crafting a story for a 10-episode season?
Well, I mean, truthfully, it wasn't that much different. Like as I mentioned before, we have a really large cast, so we just wanted to make sure that everyone was serviced. And with 8 ghosts and 2 livings, we just wanted to make sure that everyone got a story. And honestly, like there were arcs that we wanted to service. We're following up on Nigel and Isaac's engagement, so that's sort of like a series-long arc. And I guess truthfully, like the shorter season didn't necessarily affect too much.
Yeah, I feel like we typically have been trying to treat the seasons in like 2 parts, because we usually have, we air up until Christmas, and then we take a little hiatus, and then we start airing, in the spring, and it sort of naturally breaks into, 2 halves. So we just wrote the first half this year, really.
Totally makes sense. All right. This is the point where I jump full force into the premiere, into the topic everybody wants to talk about right now. So I'll put a little warning out. If you have not watched the first episode of season 3 of Ghost, this is where we say goodbye. This is where you push pause, go watch the episode, then come back to the video and push play. And it begins right here. It is that easy. Okay. So the reveal of who gets sucked off. Before I even get into that reveal, I want to know, what is one of the, I guess, the most wild theories you read about who could get sucked off and why?
Well, a lot of people started saying maybe no one got sucked off. Maybe someone is coming down, which I thought was like, oh, actually a clever sort of like, oh, they tricked us. And that could have been a totally legitimate way to go. We did go through pains when we did the special effect of actually, you can see an amorphous shape going. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't a hard clue in that shape as to who it might be. So you do see someone going up, but it's quick and it goes by fast. But I thought that was a clever idea that people had and a good theory, and that would have been fun.
I definitely hit a point where I'd come up with some sort of theory for literally everybody. And then I feel like even as I was watching the episode, I'm like, oh, it's you. No, it's you. No, it's, and then finally the reveal happens. So Flower gets sucked off. When in the writing process did you two determine that she was the right ghost to get sucked off first, as far as the main ensemble goes?
I mean, we had a long time to think about it because of the unusually long layoff this year because of the strikes. But so we went down a number of different roads, and some were more prominent ghosts and some were, slightly more peripheral. But, we wanted it to be, in the end, someone very consequential that had big ramifications for the ghosts and Sam and Jay, in the house. And she was definitely going to be someone we missed. And, I think that's what makes it hard and what makes it good.
To dig into that a little more, can you pinpoint something about doing that with her that you thought would, I guess, be earned for her character from an individual's perspective, but also serve the rest of the ghost's evolution well going forward?
Yeah, I think she met a lot of qualifications. You could say for a few of the other ghosts as well, but she, recently had some personal growth, learning to want to be in a monogamous relationship with Thor. And then, as Joe hinted at, her absence created a lot of conflict. It creates, obviously, feelings for Thor. This was the person he loved most in the world, and they're gone. And when a ghost goes up on our show, it's a little complicated. It's obviously Thor's upset, but some of the other ghosts are going to be jealous, and some of the other ghosts are going to be curious about why, every time a ghost goes up, we've sort of hinted that it might have something to do with personal growth and breakthroughs, but it's also mysterious as to when it happens. A lot of times ghosts have big breakthroughs and they don't get sucked off. So we just thought Flower created a lot of good stories in the wake of her disappearing.
In episode 1 alone, you see it. So I get that. Can you kind of walk us through the process of figuring out how to reveal that she was the one to get sucked off, in particular, in terms of deciding not to necessarily show how it happened, but rather let the audience experience it by seeing everybody else react to it?
Well, I don't know. That was just the way we chose to do that. We wanted to reveal it early in the episode so that we could spend the episode dealing with the ramifications and fallout of that. And I think, we love Sheila and we love Flower, and, it's going to take a lot of twists and turns, and there's going to be more to come.
I feel like I'm about to get into questions you're not going to want to answer. Is it safe to assume that Flower will eventually return in some way, shape, or form?
Well, look, she was already dead. So, and on our show, we've already, shown ways where ghosts that have moved on, whether it's going up or going down, can still be in episodes. We also do flashbacks. Not saying we're doing any of this, but it's like, just because someone is gone doesn't mean they're gone. So, yeah, that's all I'll say.
That's basically what I needed the answer to be. how much thought have the two of you put into what happens after? I can't believe how many times I've said sucked off in this episode, but you guys have done it to me. How much thought have you put into what happens to a ghost after they are sucked off? Specifically, where they go, what that place is like, those types of things.
By the way, the sucked off phrase came from the British show, and that was literally probably the only thing that they sent us that they were like, you guys got to use this. This is very good. You have our blessing. And we took that and ran with it, of course, because it's brilliant. What was the question again?
How much thought have you given to where they go after? Like what it's like there, what they do there, things like that?
I mean, honestly, like maybe that's something we'll explore further down the line, but I personally am almost don't want to like say what that is. And, I feel like that's something that might be best left to people's imaginations. And, obviously people in the real world have all sorts of different ideas. So again, maybe that's something we'll explore further down the line. But I personally don't think about that as far as how it relates to the show, other than, obviously we've implied down is bad, up is good. But for now, I think we're just leaving it at that.
I'll respect that choice, despite the fact that I always want to know more. Looking ahead in season 3, what can you tease about how Flower getting sucked off will impact the rest of the season 3 story? Is it something that will, conclude at a point, or does it have kind of, like a defining factor over this season's themes and arc?
It's going to be a huge driver of story, and we're going to, because of the exploration of grief and also just what that means to everybody in the house, it's going to lead to a number of other reveals, including how one of our other ghosts died.
Okay. I like this. I like the sound of this. All right. Before I ask you a brief question or two about episode 2, I wanted to end with like a really silly, random question, because I love the fact that your ghosts love reality TV. And I've also just had too much fun lately asking people how they would do on Squid Game: The Challenge. So I want the two of you to tell me which ghost on your show would be the best and which one would be the worst if they were on the Squid Game reality show. But then on top of that, I also want you to play the same game with your actors.
I don't watch Squid Game, but so I could answer better about who would do well on like Love It or List It. Joe, do you know about Squid Game?
I do. So are you talking about the actual fictional Squid Game or the actual game show that they
I don't want anything terrible to happen to people, so I'm talking about the reality show.
Oh gosh. I think they would all thrive. I think they would all be good at it. They're all very smart people. Boy, this is a Alberta, sort of saw some stuff in her life, so she might be able to navigate some of the goings on of a show like that. And then real life, boy, I don't know. I mean, Devin's so big and strong.
But that's the thing that can deceive some people, and then they think they're the best in the competition. But meanwhile, it's the person who's thinking 10 steps ahead.
You're right.
Devin's also very smart.
Really, the last time we spoke, like, dude only spoke about steak, so that's where we were. But I trust that he would be very, very good on Squid Game. All right, at this point, I am going to tell everybody goodbye from this video, and stay tuned next week for episode 2 of season 3. We're going to run one little clip for you about another talking topic that I have a feeling a lot of you are going to want to know about. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.